Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to my talk presentation. And I see some familiar names in the participant list. Wow, thank you for being here. I see someone who comes from the same cohort with the boot camp. So thanks for being here. So this is an interesting Zoom setting. I actually don't get to see your faces. So I guess whenever you have some questions, maybe we can use the chat. Yes, delighted to see you. Yes, and delighted to have all of you here joining me today for the talk. I definitely look forward to learning more from you because I'm very, very new in using Wolfram, but I've been a huge fan since I joined the Wolfram bootcamp since last year. Okay, so I guess I'll get started. It's 1:31 right now. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you so very much for joining my presentation. I trust what you can see now is the presentation. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to talk about how CEOs and CFOs talk about the impact of coronavirus shutdown on corporate profits. So my presentation, I feel it will fit into the category of the Wolfram computational X, which is computational accounting essay. So I will do this as an accounting talk, and then I will add in to say how Wolfram has added value and helped me conduct this analysis of research question. So let me introduce the co-author. So Davis is a middle school student at Countryside School. I would say that in this project, I am the accounting part, and Davis provides the coding brain. I'm very appreciative of what he did for me here. Okay. I hope you will like the talk. So what is the question I'm doing here? I analyzed the earnings conference call transcripts in the quarter before and after the COVID lockdown. I want to see what is the compare and contrast there. What is the difference there? The sample for now, it includes 30 companies, the top 10 from tech, from healthcare, and then from consumer staples. So we use Wolfram Mathematica to analyze the text length, structure, tone, and keywords, which I will show later. The 5 key pattern changes in quarters before and after the COVID-19 lockdown. The first thing is companies begins to shift from the focus on numbers, financial numbers, to talk more about their staff, their partners, their associate, and their people. So the first change is from numbers to people. The second key change there is from company products and service to human needs. So in previous quarters, companies are more likely to talk about what they can do and what they can deliver. In this quarter, they are more likely to focus on human needs and focus on how they can tailor what they can deliver to the human needs. The third thing, which I feel is very interesting, is company shift from saying how prideful they are with their delivering shareholder value to how grateful they are in how they can still be helpful to people and stay in business in such a difficult time. The fourth change is there is a very significant change that CEO and CFOs, when they answer questions, they shift the focus from the current quarter to the long horizon, which is understandable because in the near term, there's going to be a lot of uncertainties. The fifth change, which is communication strategy thing that is used by CEOs and CFOs in this quarter, is they shift from the prevention focus to promotion focus. It's a very interesting shift. We'll talk more in a minute. So during the talk, whenever you have questions, feel free to put that in the chat box. I plan to finish this within 20 minutes, and I hope that we can have a lot of time to talk and have some Q&A session. Also, I will have 2 very specific questions that I want to ask for help from the expertise in Wolfram team regarding the future plan for this study and how Wolfram can help me better understand and investigate my research questions. Why am I interested in this study? Now, it's definitely a looming earnings season. If fell short of analyst expectations, and people don't really know what's going on there. And we know that accounting numbers matter. Accounting numbers have a very high predictive power and explains the variation in terms of company stock price. So it's a very, very important document to analyze when it comes to earnings. Now, in addition to that, right, now there are like quarterly and annual reports that are disclosed at the end of quarter and at the end of the fiscal year, but these are not as timely as earnings conference calls. So what are earnings conference calls? This is the target test that I use to analyze in my talk today and in this study. It definitely is a more timely disclosure than quarterly report and annual report. It also boils down earnings information into an easily digestible form. Now, in terms of structure, what are we going to expect during these earnings conference calls? The first part is that CEO and CFOs do their prepared remarks, their presentation. And after that, the IR director is going to signal to the analyst who participant and say, now we start the Q&A. And then analyst one asks questions, there's an answer, and this continues. Usually there are a dozen analysts coming to these earnings conference calls, and they ask 10 to 20 questions. So that's what's expected there. That's the target text. Okay, so there are several interesting descriptives. Right? When I try to use Wolfram, Wolfram does have a very powerful textual analysis and visualization to help me with generating some descriptive analysis, right? So for each of these descriptive analysis, I'm going to post this on either cloud or on Passable, so you can get to see this after my presentation if you're more interested. Basically, in this presentation slides, I include all the visualizations related to the descriptives that I provide. But these are not the focus of the study, so I'm just going to go through them very briefly. The text length of these earnings conference calls did not change significantly. There is like a 9 to 10% increase, but it's not a big deal. The duration also increases, which is understandable if these texts get longer. And in addition to that, a very interesting phenomenon there is the number of participants in the earnings conference calls during the COVID quarter, it actually drops a little bit. And of course, all these are just automatically generated by Wolfram based on some coding, right? Now, in addition to that, right, if I want to do analysis based on the COVID-19 quarter, right? So some of the basic stuff I got to do is, for example, the frequency of some keywords count, right? And for example, this would be something that's very intuitive to see and not quite surprising. That is last quarter, nobody really talked about COVID, but this quarter, on average, people talk about 20 times in technology sector, 32 times in consumer staples sector, and 52 times in healthcare. And yes, Wolfram has a very good and intuitive way in generating these numbers. Now, in addition to that, the baseline hypothesis there is take a look at these negative words and positive words, uncertainty words and certainty words. Now, very interestingly, right? Very interestingly, for the earnings quarter, for the COVID quarter, both negative words increases from previous quarter to current quarter, and the use of positive words also increased slightly from last quarter to this quarter. Now, in addition to that, another interesting baseline finding, which again is not that surprising, is you can see that the uncertainty words is more frequently used in the COVID quarter, right? We can see for tech, consumer, and healthcare, there's increase there. Now, the use of certainty words decreases slightly for tech quarter, more for consumer, and also for healthcare, right? So there is some, these are just some background and descriptives that are intuitive and not that surprising. So the code, how to get the data, how to delete the rapid test, how to find the text length, the participants' duration, and the words. So I include these, I include the code in here in case you want to give it a run. For now, I'll just skip this part. Not really a coding brain, so yeah. Yes, the key findings that I want to talk about here to start with, right? The typical opening in the previous quarters before the COVID, people usually start with a financial overview on sales. They will say something like, we have a solid quarter, we're proud. We have growth, demand, we mentioned the technology product, that's by region, by segment, etc. In the third paragraph, they will talk about the revenue, gross margin, the expenses, cash, and dividend. In this quarter, everyone shift, and there is another type of structure in this textual for the conference called Transcript. People start the financial overview not on numbers, but on people. Most of the time, we'll observe a very typical structure. They say it's a challenging moment. We are very grateful. It's our privilege to help people at this moment. Technologies like this and that is being used to fight the disease head on. And we are very grateful to work with these people, and the health and safety of the men and women we work with is the highest priority for us. The last paragraph in this opening, in this typical opening in the earnings conference call would be, we learn, observe, we emerge even stronger, we are confident about the long horizon future. So Wolfram is very nice in providing the manipulate function in which I can easily show if I have a, let's say, a word list that I tell Wolfram to use, right? For example, if I'm interested to know words that are related to gratitude, then I can use this manipulate function to generate for me what are the words related to appreciate, to grateful, etc., and also get me a word count there, which is a good function. Now, another very interesting pattern that we observe is in previous quarter, people focus more on financial numbers, right? That is what analysts expect them to deliver. That is how they are held accountable in the capital market. In this quarter, things have changed significantly. Now, if we look at the increase in the use of the frequency of the words that are related to employees and are related to stakeholders, we see that there is a significant increase for the sectors such as consumer staples, and for technology, and also for healthcare as well, right? Similarly, in this graph, we see that there is an increase in the word use of stakeholders, for example, partners, users, developers, etc., etc. And Wolfram can provide some very good visualizations for quickly seeing how the change of the words is there. Another very interesting change, right, which is not a baseline finding, is people now, instead of talking about how cool their product is and how awesome their service are, they begin to try to emphasize how they can use company products and service to help with the human needs, right? What are human needs? Basically, it's the way that we work, and also it's the way that we live, right? For example, when P&G, Procter Gamble, talk about their home products, they say something like, our products clean your laundry, your home, your hair, etc., etc. And interestingly, even when they talk about the influence of coronavirus, they try to link this to the human need during the remote work and learning period. For example, they say when the P&G CEO is asked to explain why the grooming product has seen the drop in the sales, they say, well, the challenge is lower shave frequency, which while we're working from home, to put it bluntly. So we see these kind of quotes from time to time, and it's very interesting that instead of just focusing on new technology and the cool products that company have that they can deliver, instead of focusing on what they can do, they focus on what consumers need. So the shift from new tech to human needs is a very interesting trend. Okay. The fourth thing, which again, it's something that's doable using Wolfram language analysis, that is, we can easily, after selecting a word list, I can see that, especially in the Q&A session, people now focus more on long horizon. Even if the analyst asks a question about the current quarter, CEOs and CFOs will quickly shift the focus from the current quarter, what we can deliver, to how confident we are. And we have good faith, we are forward looking in the long horizon. So for example, something from Coca-Cola, and I see that in the conference there is also an attendee from Coca-Cola, is this quote from James Quincy: "In times when a crisis has hit, it can be easy to lose sight of the long term. For the future, as it has always done in every previous crisis for its 134 years." So this answer is given to an analyst when an analyst is asking something related to advertisement expenditure and the short-term job. The CEO quickly changed the focus from the short term to the long run. So that's the fourth change that I noticed. Number 5, which is an interesting thing, is, well, what is a prevention? What is promotion? So the prevention focus is you focus on how you can prevent a loss. The promotion focus is you focus on how you can expand, how you can grow, how you can help others, how you can monetize, right? So when very interesting disclosure strategy is, instead of using these passive words saying that how does the prices affect this and affect that, the CEOs and CFOs, when they're talking about the changes and their company's performance, they would usually just try to be very promotion focused and say how our products and service can help customer meet urgent need, respond to the crisis, and how our business process are going to be restructured and flexible enough, adaptive enough to the new way of working and living, right? So that's a very, very interesting trend that I noticed. So it's not surprising that when the analyst ask the question in the promotion focus, the CEO answers them in the promotion focus, right? How do you grow? We plan to grow this way. And it's also very interesting that even when analysts are asking these questions with a preventive focus, saying how you can prevent the loss, you have some issues, you have some disruptions, and there is expenses. How do you plan to deal with this? Now, a very interesting pattern that I can see in this text is that the CEOs and CFOs, they would shift the focus from the prevention focus to the promotion, even though they are asked in a challenging way. And interestingly, if people don't quickly shift their focus from prevention to promotion, then giving a prevention-focused question would lead to more challenges from analysts regarding the expenditure, the cost, many expenses that you face, right? So this is another interesting strategy, disclosure strategy that we see in this quarter right after the COVID, right? So these are the patterns. I will have 2 minutes, which is lead me to my conclusion and also the questions that I need your help for, okay? I'm very new in Mathematica. I did a Wolfram bootcamp in, I begin to lose track of time. Last year, August. I'm very grateful to know a lot of people inside Wolfram, the people who left with a very warm impression on my heart, including Danielle, Ian, Abrita, which is a really good teacher in the boot camp, and Kevin Mistral. Kevin continues to help me with Wolfram, and he also co-teaches some accounting sessions in my graduate class in University of Illinois with me. I feel this is a great community. Here are my questions. Well, in terms of textual analysis, right, my typical working process is I read the text, and then I took pages of notes. Now, based on my understanding of the previous quarters and based on my understanding of other financial statements, I began to form ideas, right? I begin to see what are abnormal in this specific quarter. I form some hypotheses. I use Wolfram to find the supporting evidence based on the specific keywords I tell it and the specific search pattern that I tell. Right, for example, more frequent use of words related to specific category in the specific quarter. Now, here is what I envision Wolfram might be able to do. Maybe it can already do that. It's just my own ignorance that I can do. I do not have a good command of the programming, so I don't yet know. What if I just feed the Wolfram with text? Like I can ask Wolfram some questions. For example, I can feed Wolfram with several texts, and then I can automatically generate the deviation in text length from the baseline. Do you recognize any variation in tones, the similarity with the last quarter, any change in the participants' names, right? Now, it will be really helpful for researchers like me if more processes could be automated. I'm pretty fortunate that in my home, there is someone who is really good at Wolfram language that can help me. But if Wolfram can do more automated task for behavior, social science, finance, and accounting researchers, it would be super helpful. Another question that I have, Wolfram gets me very good statistics about keywords and search patterns. I want to ask for more, for example, more ambiguous matching. The analysis based on not just a word, or but word clusters, sentence paragraphs, and the natural meanings, etc. I myself, I'm pretty ambiguous in asking the question, but maybe Wolfram can provide some magical answer. So I'd love to hear your comments and your advice. I feel this is a very exciting presentation for me. I hope you guys don't feel that is just too accounting and not coding enough. And I look forward to talk more with you if you're interested in getting to more about what we're doing here. My email address is listed here, and I will also post this presentation slides either to Wolfram Cloud or to the Passable, so that is available. Thank you so much for being here. With that being said, I'd like to turn the floor to the attendees and see if you have any questions for me. Oh, what was the source of the earnings call transcript? And was the study published somewhere? Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen again so that we can take a look at the coding part. Okay, so how do we do this in Wolfram, right? Now, there are a lot of sources for company conference call transcripts. And we can go to the SEC website to download this. Another easy way is just to go to the fold.com or seekingalpha.com. These are investment advisory firms that provide free access for the earnings conference call transcript. The reason why I choose fold.com is that it has a really nice structure for all the earnings conference call transcript, so that I can change some of these parameters here, which would automatically get me the to the transcript that I need, right? For example, here I'm just using one example. In the study that I did, it was 30 companies for 4 consecutive quarters, and we're now expanding it to SP 500 companies for the last 10 years to see what would be disclosure strategy change when there are other crises, for example, financial crisis, or for example, the hurricane, such as the natural disasters, right? So this is how we get the transcript. What does it look like, right? So by just getting the, yes. Yes, so by just getting the starting point and the ending point of this text, we can easily just get to all of the text of the earnings conference call transcript. And these are readily available for the listed companies in the United States, right? Let's scroll down this. We'll see that later on, just by writing, this is the part that I feel Wolfram is so amazing. For example, here, right? If I just simply run this and by adding a little bit of matrix structure to the code that I'm doing, then I can automatically get the length of the earnings conference call transcript, the duration, the call participants, the number of participants very nicely in a good structure that can be easily either I later use the usual software that I use for statistical analysis and for visualization, right? Okay, and sorry, I think I did something wrong. this should not be Microsoft. Right, and this is another amazing thing. I feel it's a very useful teaching tool and also research tool for myself when I'm doing the reading notes, right? So if I am interested to know what they talk about when companies say about COVID, right? It will be so hard to scroll in this document and use the Control F. But by this manipulative function, I can easily just go to the things that I want to know. For example, what they talk about when it comes to social distancing. Right? So that would be the COVID-related words. I can also do something, for example, related to this. I give, did I run set directory to notebook? So the way that I do this is Logran and McDonald. These are two finance professors. They have very good sentiment word lists that are just related to finance and accounting, and they provided publicly available. You can download this from their website. And by using the existing word list and word dictionary that work for your specific domain, right? Maybe it's different from law, accounting, finance. Negative has a different meaning, right? So in general, we don't talk about, for example, collateral. It may mean a negative tone in some domain, but in accounting, it's totally neutral. And so different words mean different things in different domains. And so this is a domain-specific dictionary that I can take advantage of. And again, using the Wolfram manipulate function, I can easily generate these word lists. Yeah. So that's something related to the code. Was this study published? No, it's not. I did a webinar in these using this talk. This is a fun project for me and Davis during the COVID-19 lockdown. So I thought it would be very interesting to see how I can use Wolfram to help me automate the processing of a lot of the text in the finance and accounting disclosure, right? For example, earnings conference calls. For example, the annual report. For example, the company voluntary disclosures, such as the Twitter, the social media, and also company website. That's a great source of the accounting disclosure. And the textual analysis is definitely not constrained. It's definitely not constrained to numbers, right? So text, images, audios, videos, these are important content for investors and also the capital market information intermediaries, such as the banks, the analysts, to understand what's going on there. So I feel Wolfram has a great value there. I'm introducing, I started teaching Wolfram language in my data analytics course for managerial decision making at University of Illinois. It's a graduate class. I feel there are some learning curve that students need to face initially, but I just feel this is a lot of thing that Wolfram can offer in terms of helping students in social science, in economics, in accounting and finance, in improving their data analytics skills. Now it's, let's see whether there are any other questions. I'm going to refresh this and see. Oh, I got another question. Asking my co-author if he is using Wolfram technology in his school. I wish they would. It's such a good tool for kids to learn math and to learn how to deal with this world, right? How to do some computation and how to begin to use these as a tool to test their own hypothesis. For example, like Davis is working on something related to how to use Wolfram language to calculate the probability that my vote matters in the state of Illinois in the presidential election in the year 2020. I just feel that having Wolfram available for middle school students opens many, many doors for them in terms of their imagination and what they can do. Thank you so much for all these great questions. And I also see someone saying that Rohit says that helping someone with similar analysis on 10K filings, maybe, yes, I'd love you to contact me via email. Please do that. Please do that. Thank you so much. I have my email address typed in Passable, and also here to the Zoom settings. It's a bit past 2, and that will be the end of my presentation. I'm so thankful for you being here, for your kind words, and also for your support. I look forward to talking with you later on related topics or shared interests. Thank you so much.